would it be fair to say there's a lot of Aussies out here asking the same questions as, say, the majority of Americans are asking themselves right now? Why is our politicians behaving like lapdogs for Israeli dignitaries? I mean, look at this shit. You think that's spontaneous? Zoom out for a minute. This is Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Members of Congress, I now have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you His Excellency Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel. Thank you.
A wanted war criminal by the ICC, being applauded by American senators, where almost 90% of the politicians in this room takes pro-Israel money from an Israeli lobby group called AIPAC, the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee. That's nearly the entire political class. To be accurate, roughly 475 to 490 of 535 Congress members, 89-92% receive pro-Israel money. That's not a conspiracy, it's well documented. Here in Australia, the money is smaller, but the access just as deep. AJAC, the Australia, Israel and Jewish Affairs Council, which is the Australian version of America's AIPAC, openly brags that no major party leader refuses their invitations. Parliamentary travel records show senior politicians in Australia from both major parties lining up for sponsored Israeli trips. Both sides, not left, not right, both. And before anyone screams conspiracy, no, it's legal. It's disclosed. It's sitting in donation databases and parliamentary registers. You have access to that information. But it's so deeply buried in paperwork, the average Aussie working 40 plus hours a week doesn't have time to dig through it all. And that's why watchdog groups, activists, independent journalists and social media influencers matter. Because without them, you'd never be able to connect the dots. Because our mainstream media in this country is 75% owned by a billionaire who is tied to the same Israeli lobbyist. This has nothing to do with religion or ethnicity. It's about foreign policy being shaped by an Israeli lobbying power group instead of public will. And if that doesn't concern you, it should, because your vote will not matter at any elections from here on out. And to all you One Nation supporters who think Pauline Hanson is anti-establishment, let me tell you about the sleight of hand, the misdirection. Technically, Pauline Hanson has not received documented funding from a major established pro-Israel lobby group. Instead, she received support from marginal right-wing Jewish groups, the Australian Jewish Association. But the real influence route is through Advance Australia, which shares personnel with AGA and has massive dark money funding to push One Nation into Parliament to advance pro-Israel policies. Her voting record is now reliably pro-Israel, which appears to be driven by political calculation, aligning with right-wing consensus rather than direct funding. This is actually more concerning than direct donations. It shows how pro-Israel influence operates through proxy organisations and dark money, making it harder to trace and regulate than the AJAC model of disclosed lobbying and sponsored travel. The distinction matters because AJAC works within the establishment. Advance Australia and AJA work through the far-right fringe using One Nation as a vehicle without needing to fund them directly. So yeah, to my fellow Aussies, I don't give a fuck what side of politics you're on, but start making some noise about this. Ask your MP, any MP, who they represent. Better still, ask them this: is Israel committing a genocide? And if they tell you Israel has a right to defend themselves, or they say something along the lines of it's complex, or it's complicated, or that's anti-Semitic, or they just ignore you completely, then you'll know they don't represent you.